Hello guys, welcome to one more video and thank you so much for visiting my channel. My name is Natasha, I'm a polyglot, I'm fluent in 9 languages, and here on my channel I'm sharing different language learning tips and stories. But in some rare occasions, like today, I decide to make a video that is not related to languages. My today's video is going to be about traveling, or to be precise, about my traveling experience. In case you're following me on Instagram or Facebook, you probably know that I love to travel. So far, I have visited 31 countries in the world, and some of them I have visited several times. I have spent a little bit more than a few months in some of them, so I kind of consider myself a traveling expert. Even though I know that there are people out there who have traveled way more than I did, I still consider myself an expert in traveling. And I feel that traveling is kind of related to languages and polyglotism because you can't really practice your languages if you don't travel around. So today I decided to make a list of my favorite and least favorite countries that I have visited and to share them with you guys. Now, before I start talking about my 3 favorite and 3 least favorite countries, I want to tell you that no matter where you travel, you will definitely learn something new, you will definitely become more rich than you were before, and I really believe that every single country in the world is worth visiting. Each one of them is beautiful, each one of them is interesting in its own way, but I would be lying if I said that all of them you will like equally. You probably won't. Each one of us we all have our preferences, so even among 31 countries that I have visited, some of them I didn't really like that much and I wouldn't want to go there again. But please do not be offended if you are from one of those 3 countries that I'm gonna list today. This is just my opinion, and your country is definitely beautiful in its own way. So let's start with my 3 favorite countries. So, top 3 favorite countries. I decided to put USA on the first place because that's where I am right now. I visited US for the first time not that long ago. I think it has been a year or year and a half. I'm not sure. But I have always been kind of impressed by the US. I believe this is the case for most of the people because we all grew up with US culture, US movies, TV shows, music, everything else. So even if you have never been to the US, you probably know a lot about that country. That was the case for me. I have grown up watching movies and listening to music from the US, and I always knew that I want to visit it someday. Right now I am here for more than 6 months because of my husband. I'm in California and I have visited a few other states, and I really have to say that I believe that if you are a fan of traveling and visiting new countries, USA is the best place to go because this country is so huge and so diverse in every single sense that you will have a feeling that you are visiting a few different countries. Now, I know everyone knows this, but I have to say that even I was really impressed how big this country actually is, especially since I'm coming from a really small country where, you know, you can drive for like 45 minutes and already cross the border with another country. US is really impressive to me because you can be traveling for days, weeks, months, and you can still be in the same country and you will see so much. Right now it's winter. Some parts of the US are like freezing, literally. They're suffering with snow and everything, and then other parts of the US are warm and nice. I have met people, I think that most of the people would love to visit US, but I have also met people who claim that that country is really not impressive to them and they don't care about visiting it ever, even though they could. I feel those people have negative perception of the US, maybe because of politics, but they probably don't realize how much there is to see in this country. Of course, if you are a fan of older countries, older architecture, history, long history, you're probably not going to be satisfied in the US. You are probably going to prefer Europe, since it has much longer history, but there are so many other things to see in the US. I can say that I am really impressed by most of things here. I like how friendly and nice people are. That's not the case for many countries, I have to say. And then, of course, as I said, the fact that you can still be inside one country but travel so much for such a long time and see so many different things is just, to my brain, it's really impressive. As I said, as someone who is coming from a small country that's not really diverse, USA is my number one when it comes to traveling and visiting. My number two, and this is not going to be a surprise to anyone who has been following me for a while, is Czech Republic. If you have been following me for a while, you know that I lived in Czech Republic for 5 years. I moved there when I was 19. I stayed there till I was 23, 24. I studied there, and it was the first foreign country where I traveled to stay for a little longer time. I have to say that I'm probably really biased when I say that it's one of my favorite countries because, you know, I have that emotional and sentimental connection to Czech Republic. But even objectively speaking, that really is one of the nicest countries to visit. If you check any traveling website, any recommendation list for countries to visit, Prague, the capital of Czech Republic, is probably going to be on the list. It's a really small country. There are a lot of beautiful things to see. The capital, Prague, is amazing. I'm going to be posting some pictures and videos from Prague here so you can see it in a case you haven't been there. The good thing about Czech Republic is that it's in the middle of Europe, so in a case you want to travel around Europe, I think it's a great place to start from because you can be anywhere in Europe in less than 2 hours if you are traveling from Czech Republic. So, another thing that I like about Czech Republic is their culture. Of course, in a case you don't speak Czech language and in a case you're not going to stay there for longer than a few days, which is normal for tourists, you're definitely not going to be able to get to know so much about their culture. That's completely fine. But I have to say that as someone who has spent some time there, I really fell in love with that country. For many people, Czechs might seem a little cold, a little distant, and not really friendly. That's a big difference between Europeans and Americans, I feel. But trust me, they're the nicest people once you get to know them. So in a case you plan your big European trip, I cannot recommend you Prague and Czech Republic enough. It's perfect in a case you're a fan of history. There is so much history in streets of Prague. If you're a fan of good food, especially meat, I think that you're going to be really happy there. If you're a fan of beer, which I'm not, you are going to be enjoying that country. So I cannot recommend you enough Czech Republic. And country number 3 that made it to top 3 of my favorite countries is Argentina. I have to be honest, I had a little problem on deciding who is gonna get place number 3 in my favorites list. There was one more country that I was thinking of putting in top 3, but Argentina won. I have been there just once. A year and a half ago, I stayed for just 7 days, which is definitely not enough to get to know that beautiful country, and I have also been only in Buenos Aires. But to me, that was enough. If you know me for a longer time, you know that my favorite language is Spanish. It has been the case probably since I was born. I was always obsessed with Spanish since early childhood, and no one has ever been able to explain why am I so obsessed with Spanish, considering that I have nothing to do with Spain or Spanish-speaking countries. Nobody in my family has never traveled there. But for some reason, I was obsessed with Latin America since really early age. And Argentina was my probably number 1 destination that I wanted to visit since I was very young. I managed to do it only a year and a half ago, and I was really impressed. I don't know where to even start talking about Argentina. The number 1 thing probably would be the language. I love Spanish, every accent, every version. But to me, Argentinian accent and the way they speak is just beautiful. I was so happy just walking streets of Buenos Aires and listening to Argentinian speaking. Like, my heart was full. Food in Argentina is great. However, since I don't eat meat, it was not my favorite country when it comes to food, but everything else that I have tried was really good. However, if you're a meat eater, I cannot think of better destination to go. because everything is just about meat, 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 big pieces of meat, barbecue. So if you want to eat meat, go there. People were great, and what I was really impressed with is how good looking everyone is. I had a feeling that, of course, there are many countries with beautiful people, but Argentina definitely has to be in top 3, I believe. Nature is beautiful, and I'm saying this as someone who only visited capital and one smaller hotel in another city in Argentina, so I haven't seen that much. But when I was making my research about things to visit in Argentina, I have seen that there are so many. It would take like months to see everything. And the fact is that it's also diverse because it's a relatively big country. So if you are someone who has more time, you should definitely not only visit Buenos Aires as I did. So those were my 3 favorite countries. The time has come for me to share 3 least favorite countries that I didn't really like that much and that I wouldn't really want to visit again. I have to tell you that creating the top 3 favorite countries was a little harder than creating top 3 least favorite. As I told you, Argentina was in my top 3, but I was not sure whether to put Argentina or one other country. But when it comes to top 3 least favorite countries, it was super easy. I just had 3 countries that I'm glad I visited, but they're really not places where I would want to go again. So please, if you're from these countries, don't get offended. Your country is beautiful, but just not my cup of tea. Number 1 least favorite countries where I really don't have plans to go back is Malaysia. I love Asia. I am very lucky. I consider myself very lucky that I had a chance to travel around Asia for some time before pandemic hit. But I have to say that Malaysia was probably the country that I was not too impressed with. Before visiting Malaysia, I have visited Singapore, and I really fell in love with that country. I liked everything about it. I liked people, I liked being there. I just liked the atmosphere of that country. And some of you might know that Singapore and Malaysia used to be one country maybe 70 years ago in the past. So my expectations when I knew that I was going to visit Malaysia after Singapore were that it's going to be the same or at least 90% similar. And I was expecting that since I liked Singapore so much, I'm going to like Malaysia as much as also. However, I got really disappointed. I was in the capital all the time. I didn't visit anything outside of the capital, Kuala Lumpur. And it's probably one of the weirdest cities I have been to. On one side, I have to say that's probably the city where I have seen so much construction going on, so many new things are being built, so you can definitely tell that whatever Malaysian government is doing, they're really working on building that city and making it better, nicer, more developed, whatever, and that's definitely great thing. I really have never seen a city being built so fast and so much like Kuala Lumpur, but I really was not impressed with anything else in the city. It seemed a little bit dangerous to me, and when I came there, I got advice from people who have been there before to be very careful when walking on the street because there are so many cases of people stealing, wallets, bags, and stuff, even in the middle of the day, which is something that's happening in many cities. So from the very beginning, I had really negative feeling about even walking around, which for me is a big problem because I love to walk around all cities that I visit. So that was one thing. Another thing, I was not that impressed with people and their friendliness. Everywhere in Asia where I have been, in every single country that I have visited, people were usually super nice, either nice and polite like in Singapore, or really nice and warm, friendly like Indonesia, for example. But Malaysia, for some reason, at least Kuala Lumpur, where I have been, did not seem that friendly to me. Maybe it was problem in me, maybe I was not interesting to them. I'm not saying that all Malaysians are like that. I'm sure you have great people, guys, in Malaysia, but my personal feeling and my personal impression was that people were not too friendly to foreigners. So Kuala Lumpur would definitely be a city that I have no desire to visit again. However, Malaysia, probably, I know it has beautiful places outside of the capital. There are so many beautiful like beach resorts and beach towns, but it's not going to be my number one country where I would like to go back. My number two least favorite country in the world, place where I wouldn't really want to go back, is going to be a surprise for many of you. It is Austria. I know that it is going to be a surprise because every time I hear people talking about their least favorite countries or places that they haven't really been impressed with, they usually mention some less developed countries, a little bit more dangerous countries, or countries that are too different from European culture. I have never seen anyone mentioning Austria as their least favorite countries, but I have to do it. So I have been in the capital, Vienna, 3 times in my life. Not every time was because I wanted to go there. It was a few times I had to go there because I just had something to do. And 2 out of those 3 times I had bad things happen to me. One time my wallet got stolen, and other time I had a situation with a really weird guy following me around on the street. Both of these things happened in the middle of the day. During the day, literally in the city center or in a really crowded place. I was not walking around in the middle of the night, half naked and looking for problems. This happened in the middle of the day. Of course, this is something that can happen in pretty much any place in the world, but how do you explain the fact that I have been there 3 times, and 2 out of those 3 times I have something bad happening to me, and I have also visited 31 countries in the world. Some of those countries are not really developed or they're not considered safe, and I never had anything else bad ever happen to me in those other countries. It was just Austria and only Vienna. Isn't that weird? I think I'm not lucky with that country. It was weird. So this is a place that I really consider unsafe, and it's not a place where I would like to go back. On the other hand, I have to say that I have met a lot of people from Austria, not only when I was there, but also when I was traveling around and living in different places. And I have to say that only one of those people, one girl, was super nice and friendly and really nice person. Everyone else was kind of weird. I think this is because I really don't have luck with that country. I'm not saying that all Austrians are weird, but every single person I met from there was little strange. It might be just cultural difference. Maybe they have their own way of talking, living, and dealing with people that's not really familiar to me, so it might be a problem on my side, but I had really weird impression about both country and people from there. And this is really weird also because one of my favorite countries, Czech Republic, is right next to Austria. Many people think that their mentality and personality of the people in those countries is similar since they're both in Central Europe. I don't have a feeling that that's true, but I might be a little bit biased because I love Czech Republic so much and I have lived there and I know people, and really compared to Austria, I don't know. Austria is not gonna see me in a long time. And country number 3 on my list of least favorite countries or places I have no plan to go to again is Bulgaria. I have to say that I'm a little bit sorry that a country from the Balkans is ended up on this list, because I'm also from the Balkans, but really I was not impressed with Bulgaria at all. I was there twice, maybe even 3 times actually. Not always because of tourism, not always because I wanted to go there, but each one of those times I was not too impressed with the country. I loved visiting it. I'm happy that I went there, but to me it is a country that's, as you know, in the Balkans, so it's pretty similar to my home country. It's pretty similar to all other Balkan countries, so I didn't feel that I saw something new. I didn't feel that I got to know new culture because it's pretty similar to where I come from, so there was no surprise or something new to learn. Food is great, I have to say that. If you are someone who is traveling because of food, you should definitely go to Bulgaria. But again, their cuisine is pretty similar to cuisine of my home country, and those are all things that I can prepare myself. So I didn't discover anything new, or I didn't try anything new. The thing about Bulgaria is some parts of it are not the cleanest, and I feel that's unfortunately our mentality in the Balkans, to not take care of the nature and the cleanness. And I'm not saying this to offend Bulgarians, because my home country is pretty much the same. So it's whole Balkans problem, I feel. One time in one of my visits to Bulgaria, I have also been on the beach. I visited one town on the seaside of Bulgaria, and I have to say that Bulgaria is known in Europe to be a place where you can go for like summer vacation in a case you want to save money, because compared to some other countries in Europe, it's pretty cheap, which is a great thing. However, I was not that impressed with like sea and beaches there, and I feel that Croatia, which is relatively near, has much more to offer when it comes to summer tourism. So Bulgaria is unfortunately on this list. I'm so sorry. I have some friends from Bulgaria that I really like. People there are nice. But I'm so sorry I have to put your country on this list. It's not going to be a place where I really would want to go anytime soon. I hope I did not offend too many people with this video. I just decided to share my opinion, because the other day I was checking my pictures from all these years that I have on my phone, and I have realized how much I have actually traveled. So I decided to make this favorite and least favorite list. Again, this is just my experience, my impression, and my taste. This is not universal truth, and as I said, all these countries that I have mentioned have their own beauty and they're definitely worth visiting. Just some of them were not my cup of tea. However, I have only visited 31 countries by now. I plan to visit many more of them, so in a few years you might see updated video of a new list of the least favorite and most favorite countries, in my opinion. But for now, that's it. Please let me know in the comments if you have been to any of these countries, either favorite or least favorite ones. What was your impression of them? And also feel free to share your favorite and least favorite places in the world. I would really love to read about them, and I feel that since we are all so different, it's really nice to see what preferences different people have. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video that had nothing to do with languages. I think it's nice to once in a while talk about something else that's not language related. So if you like this video, please give me a like, a comment, subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next week.